welcome back. You are now watching We Talking Sports.
Start looking out for them.
Yeah, they play a real good brand of basketball. They play a brand of basketball where um, it's up in your face. It's playing defense the entire 30 minutes. I mean, excuse me, 24 seconds of the shot clock, and they try to funnel you to them big.
Right.
And I like that from an offensive standpoint. What I love about them is everybody will take a shot. Everybody will drive. Everybody that has the ball in their hand is an offensive threat. I love the way they're using Kevin Love with, Kevin Love to me, now again, it's only a short sample size because I don't know what the narrative is on Kevin Love. I remember one time I was hyping Kevin Love and it was like, no, the city is like, he is booty. But so I like the way they use him because he definitely gives you size and he gives you rebounding and he gives you intelligence on the floor.
Exactly.
So The last two Cavaliers games, I was listening to other teams' broadcasts, and so I listened to the Miami Heat broadcast, and I listened to the Washington Wizards broadcast. And the Washington Wizards had Drew Gooden as the color commentator. Drew Gooden used to play for the Cavs.
Right.
But, teams other places recognize these Cavs. Other teams recognize that they got this tremendous size going on, and they have Darius Garland, who is blooming into be a star. They know who Evan Mobley is. Evan Mobley, to me, is the controller of the Cavs ceiling. So the Cavs right now are a very good basketball team, but they're not a team that in the fourth quarter, when people are really, really, really playing hard, that they are going to shut those teams down. Like, what I like about another thing I like about the Cavs that I don't think is sustainable is that I like the way the coach uses the timeouts. I like the way if the other team is getting ready to make a run, he calls that timeout real quick. So he does that to settle down his young team and to keep control of the game. And so games never get out of hand, and he always bring them back up. That's not going to work in the playoffs. That's not going to work after the All-Star game. When people start playing basketball, that's not going to work. But for right now, that is a very good formula that as Mobley becomes that player that we can go to in those types of situations, that's our ceiling right there. That is when he becomes that unstoppable force that when teams take everything away and really, really lock in, we can still get him in a situation where he's who is he one-on-one on? Bradley Beal, and just using him. When he understands that team has a very, very, very high ceiling.
Well, it looks like he understands it. He hasn't perfected the craft of just going one-on-one and getting your bucket. But to me, it looks like he understands, the whole mismatch game.
Yeah, I'm talking about something totally different.
Okay, what do you mean?
Totally different. I'm talking about having so understanding that I can score on a small dude. Yeah, okay, that's something. But understanding that, okay, it's my time in this basketball game. Like, okay, like say for example, Kawhi Leonard when Toronto won the championship. Kawhi was like, okay, it's my time to win this basketball game. And I think that's who Evan Mobley is. And I think that we have the pieces around him to win with him like that. And I think that when he understands that mentally, again, it's not just about, hey, I can score on this dude. It's about, okay, I'm Kobe Bryant in this time in this basketball game. And I'm saying that my point is that in the NBA, the good teams have those types of players. And you will beat a Miami Heat, say, for example, right now in the regular season by your coach standing on the sideline, keeping y'all locked in and calling timeouts and things like that. But when it comes down to the Miami Heat trying to seed themselves after the All-Star game, that's not going to work no more because at that point you're going to put the ball in Jimmy Butler's hands, and Jimmy Butler is about to say, okay, I'm about to go get this bucket, or I'm about to set up Tyler Hero. And my point is that the Cavs' ceiling is when Evan Mobley becomes that dude. When we get to the point in games where, okay, can't nobody score. Like all them Golden State series when we used to play with Golden State, and it would be like 5 minutes in the game where nobody scored a bucket. When you get to that point in the basketball game, that's when Evan Mobley becomes that dude in the Cavs. That's what our ceiling is. And if he's the best player in basketball, we can be the best team in basketball.
Well, I agree with that. I guess the point that I was trying to make is I think that JB is setting him up for that. He's learning that role right now, I think. Because if you notice, when they do get in those situations where JB has to call a timeout, pay attention to who they run plays for coming out of timeouts. You know what I'm saying? They often, more often than not, when they come out of a timeout, they're running a play for to put the ball in Mobley's hands and let him dictate. So it's like, if it's not Darius Garland, it's usually Evan Mobley that they're running plays for or putting the ball in his hands as a decision maker. And granted, obviously he's a rookie. He's a very young player. But like I said before, he seems to get better every game. It's almost like he learns lessons every game and just picks things up and continues to grow.
Is it causing an echo, bro? If it is, that's my fault.
I don't hear one.
Okay.
But yeah, I could definitely see I can see Evan Mobley growing into that guy, and I think what the Cavs are doing is sustainable. Now, in saying that, I also believe that they're not going to truly grow as a team until they make the playoffs and take their lumps in the playoffs in at least one playoff series.
Right. They have to understand that. They have to learn. Right.
Right. But I could see them doing it because let me tell you something. When I look at the Eastern Conference right now, I see the Cavs. And let me back up for just a moment, because you were saying when teams start to play after the All-Star break and second half of the season, and all this and that. Let me tell you what's really different about that from years of past. It's COVID. It's like you can't say, okay, we get as a team, you can't do that. Okay, have a rah-rah speech and we about to turn it up and we got to do this and we got to do that, because you never know when a guy is going to be out for COVID.
Yeah, that's not what I'm saying, though.
No, I know that's not what you're saying, but I'm bringing that up as a point to where things are different from an NBA standpoint, to where I know traditionally guys would be working themselves into shape at the beginning of the year. Guys would turn it on after All-Star break, and I get that. I know that's been traditional NBA, but if you take that approach in today's NBA, you'll say, okay, we're going to turn it up in the second half, and then you got guys in and out of the lineup because of COVID. So you aren't really turning it up because guys are out for COVID. So my point is, you can't take that old school NBA approach in these days. You have to win games when you can, because you don't know when your best players may be out of the lineup for 10 days, and you can't control it. You can't predict it, and you can't control it. So it's to where you think you about to gain ground on this playoff run. You don't know that.
So go ahead and make your point with that. Your point is that the Cavs are going to finish or something along those lines. So,
well, I look at the Cavs as barring major injuries, is the fifth best team in the East. Barring major injuries, I see them as the fifth best team in the East. And I'll tell you who the four teams are in front of them. And then some of the teams in the back of them, I'll tell you why I think they're in back of them. So the teams that I think are in front of Cleveland are Brooklyn, Milwaukee, Miami, and Chicago. I think any other team after that, Cleveland can handle. So,
so I don't.
Let me give you some obvious omissions, some obvious teams that I put behind them that you may be questioning. Philadelphia.
Yeah, come on.
Dog.
There's absolutely no way that the Cavs are going to finish the regular season with a better record than the Philadelphia 76ers.
Yes, there is.
Come on.
Yes, there is.
Okay, next point, though. I don't even want to discuss that. I don't even want to talk about
Let me explain to you why. Why.
Okay, because Joel Embiid is going to be hurt. Doc Rivers is going to have a sex scandal. And, I mean, like, how do you possibly think that the Philadelphia 76ers is going to have a worse record than the Cleveland Cavaliers?
Let me explain to you. Because,
so the Cavaliers just never been to the playoffs without LeBron. That's been, 4 years? So this team is just going – okay, go ahead. Explain this to me.
So, first of all, The 76ers are a different team without Ben Simmons. So in the past, you had three different Philadelphia 76ers teams. You had the team with Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid and supporting cast. Then you would have the team where it was Joel Embiid in supporting cast. And then you had the team where it would be Ben Simmons in supporting cast. You no longer have Ben Simmons anymore. So you are totally dependent on Joel Embiid. And it's like the only time that they're really a good team is if he plays. Because if he doesn't play, whether it's because of injury or, COVID protocol, they're a very average team. They're a very average team. And we all know that Joel Embiid doesn't play 82 games. So, to the point that I was making earlier, this is a new NBA in the sense that you got to get your wins at the beginning of the season, the middle of the season, and the end of the season. You can't just depend on we going to turn it up after All-Star break because there's too many things going on that are out of your control. Did you hear?
You can depend on Joel Embiid getting injured. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So the Cavs got dudes that can get injured too, right?
Doesn't his history tell you that? Doesn't his history tell you that?
Intangibles that you're talking about, the same things can happen to the Cavs. So you don't factor those in. Yeah, the lightning can strike and crash down on the entire team.
Well, how about this? How about this? Since you questioning the logic,
dog. When it comes to talent versus talent, the Cleveland Cavaliers are nowhere close to what the Philadelphia 76ers are. When it comes to having experience and been there before, the Cleveland Cavaliers is nowhere close to where the 76ers are. I love the Cavs too, but I'm a realistic sports fan, dog. I'm not going to sit up and say that the Cavs are going to finish with a better record than the Philadelphia 76ers just because of a month and a half of good basketball. That doesn't make sense. Come on, bro. The Philadelphia 76ers.
Where you got the Cavs ranked in the East right now?
Well, I mean, they are number 6. I say they're the number 5 team, and it doesn't necessarily mean that that's where they're going to finish, but that's where I'm projecting them. That's where I project them in terms of looking at the teams, and who are the solid teams. So I'm gonna move on from Philadelphia, and we can agree to disagree on that one because at the end of the day, time will tell. And here we are. What's the day?
They're a dumpster fire waiting to happen.
December.
So, dog, tell me these others. So you're saying that there's only 4 teams better than the Cavs in the East. Okay, so give me these other teams.
So let me clarify that too. When I say better than, I'm not saying that the Cavs will beat them in a 7-game series. What I'm projecting is the regular season. Because there's obviously more experienced teams. Like, for example, Boston's a more experienced team. But I think we'll finish with a better regular season record than them. Okay, they're a more experienced team. It's not to say that in a 7-game series we'll beat them.
So what I did is I looked at the standings right now, and I figured, okay, what teams? Because right now it is, and I like the way they do this. It is 10 teams that's still alive, and so the way it works out is if you finish number 7, you play number 8 in the play-in game, and if you win, you stay at number 7. If you are number 9 or number 10, you play a game. The winner of that game plays the loser of the 7-8 game, and whoever wins that basketball game becomes number 8. So my whole point for that is you kind of don't want to be in that. You don't want to be number 7, number 8, number 9, or number 10. And if you do, you want to be number 7 or number 8, because then you either win and get in or you lose, and then you got a chance to play the winner of the other 2 to get in. So that's my whole point with explaining that playoff scenario. So to me, when I look at the teams that are in as far as 1 through 8, I believe that Washington, which the Cavs proved me right last night, Washington is not going to finish up there. I believe Bradley Beal is a good basketball player. I definitely don't believe that you have a good basketball team if Bradley Beal is your best basketball player. So I'm not feeling them. Obviously, Milwaukee is going to be there. So right now, number one is Brooklyn. I believe in them. Number two is Chicago. I don't think Chicago is going to finish number two, but I don't think that the Cavs are better than Chicago. Number three, Miami. Number four is Washington. I already talked about them. I don't think they're going to finish that high. Number five is Milwaukee. I got Milwaukee obviously finished as one of the top teams. Cleveland. Okay, so Cleveland is number six. Charlotte, number seven. I think Charlotte is where we are. Maybe we ain't better than Charlotte. Maybe we are. Charlotte got a little more experience than us, but a little bit more experience.
Did you hear they just lost LaMelo and Rozier to COVID?
I'm not putting Charlotte in front of us. Philly, obviously, I'm putting Philly in front of us. Boston, I'm putting Boston in front of us. Atlanta, I'm putting Atlanta in front of us. So New York, I'm putting in front of us.
New York definitely is not a better team than us.
So with that, I have Washington falling out. I have Charlotte falling out. So with that, I have the Cavs finishing at about the 9 or 10 range. The 9 or 10 range. So again, I got Brooklyn, Chicago, Miami, Milwaukee, Philly, Boston, Atlanta, New York. And then I think that's 8. And I got the Cavs at number 9, right there with Charlotte. That's my realistic approach. I don't know how you can argue any of those teams.
Because you're basing it off of what they did in previous years. You're basing it off of the success they had.
No, I'm basing it off the talent that the dudes got right now. Like, okay, so Atlanta is number 10. Atlanta went to the Eastern Conference Finals last year. Do I think Atlanta is about to finish number 10 with Trae Young, Collins, a whole second year? I think Atlanta is going to be a team in the second half that's going to play some good basketball.
There's a number of things I think that you're not considering.
I don't know how you think that the Cavs are better than the New York Knicks.
How do I think the Cavs are better? How about the fact that they beat them by 25 points in Madison Square Garden, and the Knicks were totally healthy? How about that? And we weren't.
Oklahoma City beat Los Angeles, beat the Lakers twice, and they got beat by the largest margin in the history of basketball. You win in one basketball game.
We talking about matchups. We talking about particular matchups, dog. We talking about particular matchups.
That's why in the NBA the playoffs are 7-game series, because there's no doubt who the best team is at the end of the basketball season. At the end of the season, you might win one game, okay, but you're not about to win a 7-game series.
Two things that I don't think that you're factoring in when you come up with your projections. One is I don't think you're factoring in the COVID factor. And number two, I don't think that you're considering the change in the game, since they're not allowing those you to jump into people and shoot the basketball and calling those fouls anymore. Those two things
so what does that mean? Hold on, wait. How does that give the Cavs any more of an advantage than it gives any other team?
Because some players, and I can name several of them for you if I need to, made a living off of that. Getting people off their feet, jumping into them. When I say made a living off of it, they would do it at least 2 times a half.
So you're saying that now James Harden probably does it the most. So Brooklyn is done now, huh?
I didn't say that. But you notice his scoring is down. You notice his scoring is down. You notice Trae Young's scoring is down. Guys that did that a lot and scored a lot of points off of that each game, their scoring is down.
Dog, this is what I don't like. I hate that when the Cleveland team gets kind of good, we just want to make them motherfuckers like the best. Like, hey, they number 5. You know, these dudes been hanging around the bottom of the rail all this time. You've been watching the NBA all your life. You've been seeing it take dudes 3, 4, 5 years to get good. Even LeBron, it took him 7 years or however long to get good. You just think that these dudes is about to just say, out of all the teams, they got free agents, they got a general manager, front office, stadium deal with the same issues with us. You just think that for some reason Cleveland just always have the ability to push a button and just warp right to just one of the top teams. And the thing that just trips me out is after so many end of the seasons where that happened, I just don't get why you still be thinking like, damn, so all right. Atlanta is gonna get COVID, so they ain't about to do it. New York is about to get the Khloe Kardashian curse. I mean, I don't understand that. I don't understand how unobjective you are being right now when it comes to the roster that the Cavs have assembled versus the roster with experience, with the playoff experience that the Cavs need, with you knowing that teams play way different basketball after the All-Star break.
See, that's part of what I'm disputing with you. That's part of what I'm telling you. Times have changed in the NBA because you can't count on just turning it on after the All-Star break. You have to go out from day one and get wins where you can, because again, you don't know who's going to play from week to week. And when guys getting it, like for example, Charlotte right now is the 7th seed at 13-11, right? So they're getting ready to miss LaMelo Ball and Terry Rozier for at least the next 10 days. So what's going to be their record over the next 10 days? How many of those games are they going to lose because their best two players aren't playing?
Bruh, the Cavs just went through a situation where they had Evan Mobley gone for 5-6 games. I mean, it happens to everybody, bro.
That's my point, though. That's my point. But even when it happened to the Cavs, again, the Cavs went on a 5-game losing streak because of COVID protocol and injuries. So it can happen to anybody. It can happen to anybody. But my point is
that's why you don't factor it in, because
you can't factor it in, but you have to consider it. You have to consider it.
I have to consider that Cleveland is going to be more lucky than any other team with injuries for the rest of this season. That's what I can factor in.
That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying.
Was the number 3 worst team in basketball because they got the 3rd draft pick, is now just going to the injury bug is going to just roll right past them, but it's going to hit everybody else.
So let me take one of your own arguments and use it against you. You were talking about the Atlanta Hawks, right?
Yep.
And how they were in the Eastern Conference Finals last year, right?
Yep.
The year prior to that, they were a lottery team. But what they did is they acquired like 3 free agents that helped turn their season around last year, and they went all the way from a lottery team to the Eastern Conference Finals. So
were people saying that in December, or did
I don't
they
care what people
say.
say. I don't care what people say. I watch the games, and I go by what my eyes show me. Okay, so the Cavs added significant free agents this past year, and it's making a difference. It's making a difference. And again, when I look at the roster, I look at the talent on the rosters. The New York Knicks are not a talented roster. They are not a talented roster. Let me tell you something.
I think they have more talent than the Cleveland Cavaliers do.
No, they don't. Let me tell you something.
What person on the Cleveland Cavaliers is better than Julius Randle at this moment right now? What player on our roster is better than Julius? If right now, okay, don't get me wrong.
Better or more accomplished? Because there's a difference in the two. There's a difference in the two.
Dog, I'm not okay. So don't get me wrong. I get Darius Garland is the flavor of the month right now, all over the league. All over the league, he is. But if right now,
who would you take, Evan Mobley or Randle right now?
For this season, I would take Julius Randle. I don't know what Evan Mobley is about to be. I know what Julius Randle is, and it's a good basketball player. Dog, didn't he just win? What did he win? 6 combat. He won an award last year. What most improved or something last year?
He played for the Knicks. Come on, he in New York. It don't matter. So listen, this is the thing. This is the thing. So let me tell you, this is the thing with the NBA. And they say that, you listen to veteran players and they tell you this all the time. If you play hard, if your team play hard every game, you should win 40 games. You should win almost half your games just by playing hard in the NBA season every game. And the separator
the
between
Cleveland
that,
Cavaliers do not have a better roster than the New York Knicks. Please stop saying that. They do not have a better roster than the New York Knicks. They do not, bro. They don't.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
Man, see, dog. So if you lived in Sacramento, bro, would you be sitting up? If you live in Oklahoma City, I just want to ask you this: if you live in Oklahoma City, would you be looking at the season as half full, or would you be looking at the season as half empty?
If I lived in Oklahoma City,
you just beat. So that's your.
If I lived in Oklahoma City, dog, I probably wouldn't be watching the Thunder too much. I probably wouldn't watch them too much.
That is my point. So if you looked at your team that same way, then you will see reality. You will see reality. But if you didn't, you will be looking at it as, damn, we beat the Lakers 2 times. We must be fantastic. And then you
that's fool's gold. That's fool's gold. But the difference is, when I do watch the games, I have an educated opinion because I've watched the NBA for over 40 years. I understand the game, and when I look at it, I give you an evaluation from the standpoint of an NBA expert. I'm an NBA expert, dog. I watch the NBA.
So you're an NBA expert. So
yes,
Mr.
I am.
Expert, as an expert.
Me and Woj.
Yep, you and Woj. As an expert, is there teams in the playoff hunt that has more experience than the Cavs? Or no, I'm sorry, that's not the question I want to ask. Here's the question I want to ask you with your 40 years of experience. With your 40 years of experience, have you ever noticed that the teams that do the best are the teams usually with experience that usually have been there? And generally, there is not a team that just comes out of nowhere and just all of a sudden is just this hot basketball team. But you kind of got to grow. You kind of got to, like right now, if you look at the Dallas Mavericks, and I do not think that the Dallas Mavericks are a good basketball team, but they got Luka. So now they got a situation where they got to try to build with Luka. Now, I think Dallas and Cleveland's situation is different. I think Cleveland's situation is more like what OKC had with their young dudes, and their challenge is going to be keeping everybody.
That's my point.
Dallas,
that's part of the point I'm making. I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that.
Dallas' situation is we got to tear this team down.
Right. We got one piece. We got one piece.
Them. So I do believe that. But OKC ain't win Kevin Durant's second year. Kevin Durant started.
Listen to what I'm saying, though. Listen to what I'm saying. I'm not talking about winning the championship. I'm not even talking about winning a playoff series. I'm talking about the regular season and where you're going to finish. Now, it's a 5 seed. We could finish as the 5 seed, play the 6 seed, and lose in the first round.
How are we going to finish? How are we going to finish as the 5 seed? How are there only 4 teams better in the Eastern Conference than us? And we finished the 3rd worst team in basketball last year.
Well, I mean, I've been trying to explain it to you, but you don't want to listen to me. I've been trying to explain it, but you don't want to listen. Philadelphia is not the same team without Ben Simmons. Because again, his entire listen. His entire career, Joel Embiid is gonna miss at least 20 to 25 out of those 82 games. He's done it every year he's been in the league. So why would you think No, let me finish making my point. Why would you think he's not going to miss his 25-plus games that he's missed every year he's been in the league?
Games last year?
Yeah.
And where did they finish? As number 2, right?
They had Ben Simmons. So when Joel Embiid was out, Ben Simmons became the primary, and he became that dude on the team. Let me ask you this, though. But you're not really processing what I'm saying, though. You're not processing what I'm saying.
I am, dog. I am. You're saying that because Ben Simmons isn't there, that they have to formulate a basketball team. And if you're saying that to say, yeah, they might not do as well as they did last year, okay, I'm with you. But if you're saying that because of that they're going to finish worse than the Cavs, they're not, because we don't have a dude that's better than Joel Embiid, regardless if he missed 25 games or not. So, again,
why are we ahead of them right now, then? Why are we ahead of them right now?
Because we are playing 48 minutes of basketball where other teams are playing 35 minutes of basketball. But when teams start playing 48 minutes of basketball, we're not going to be winning like this. That's the point.
How many minutes are the Lakers playing?
Okay, bro. Again, this is something that you see every year. It's not like I'm saying an epiphany. It always is. It's known fact.
Times have changed, though. That's the point I'm trying to make to you. Times have changed. Times have changed in the NBA, and a big part of it is COVID, and another big part of it is the rule changes.
There is no dude on our team right now, even Darius Garland, that if the Lakers could get, what's the dude's name? The number, who is they 3 dude? The light skinned dude with the afro. I think his number is 22.
For who? The Lakers?
For Philly.
Tobias Harris?
Tobias Harris. There's not a dude on the Cavs roster. Now that's their, what is it, second option, maybe their third option. I don't know what their team is assembled right now. But there is no dude on our roster that if somebody needed a player for the playoffs, that if they could get Tobias Harris or somebody on our roster, they would say, "Damn, give me somebody on the Cavs."
No, BS. They would take Evan Mobley in a heartbeat. You wouldn't even have to ask them twice. You wouldn't even have to ask them twice. You would not have to ask them twice.
For this season, bro.
For this season, for future seasons, you would not have to ask them twice.
Seasons, yes.
You would not have to ask twice.
Seasons. But future seasons is not going to make us finish number 5. But for this season right here, for just this season, a 1-year rental, nobody is going to take Evan Mobley over Tobias Harris. Nobody is, dog. Yeah, you're going to take Evan Mobley over Tobias Harris because you see Evan Mobley as a long-term going to be this, that, and the third. But nobody's going to take him right now because he don't have the experience to win in big basketball games.
But
nor does anybody else on our roster.
And again, let me say that is true. That part is true.
That part again. Nor does anybody else on our roster.
Well, Kevin Love does. Kevin Love does. So
and Jetty does too.
And so does Ricky Rubio. But listen, that's not the point.
No, Ricky Rubio does not have playoff success. He has been to the playoffs.
But let me tell you the point that I'm trying to make. I'm not even saying that the Cavs is gonna make the playoffs and win their first series. I'm not saying that. Because again, I know in a playoff series that experience does matter. But I'm talking about the regular season where it basically, in a lot of respects, becomes a battle of attrition. And when you let teams jump out ahead of you and get 5 or 6 games on you earlier in the season, it's going to be hard to catch up those 5 or 6 games unless there's injury, unless there's major injury.
The hardest part about being a Cleveland fan is you have to argue with Cleveland fans about reality. And so you end up like almost rooting against the Cleveland teams because you want to just be like, damn.
Because you want to be right. Because you want to be right.
It ain't that bruh. Well, if it is, then I'm like 25 for 25. Shit, 5 Cavs seasons and 20 Browns seasons.
Well, I mean, I guess that depends on who you arguing with. That depends on who you arguing with.
Okay. So
has there been a previous season where I told you the Cavs was gonna make the playoffs?
Yeah.
Since LeBron,
you did right after LeBron left, and they signed Kevin Love, and Kevin Love was supposed to want to be here.
I did not say that the Cavs was gonna make the playoffs.
Bro, you did. You did, dog. You did. So
no Kyrie, no LeBron, just Kevin Love, and we was gonna make the playoffs.
Yeah, that was my argument.
Okay.
But again, the thing is again, let's sneak up on somebody. I mean, like, look at what is going on right now with your football team. Let's sneak up on somebody. If the Browns had cavalier realistic expectations, like really right now, the expectations that we should have on the Cavs right now. If those expectations were on the Browns right now, we would be excited they're 6-6. But no, the whole shit is about to fall in. Because we thought, oh my God, they're about to win the Super Bowl. And so now
that's your logic though. That's your logic. Your logic of progression and making the playoffs, winning in the playoffs, losing, and then coming back better. That's your logic. I don't necessarily buy into that. In that I think you can strike lightning, and if you're good, you're good. You can win. You don't have to go through all of those progressions. That's how I see it.
And they came back in '99, so you're probably like 2-2 and like 17. You're like 2-17 on the way on the way you think they do it.
Well, no, because you isolating it to the Browns. I'm talking about the NFL. There have been teams that went from bad to good or bad to playoffs the very next year.
Bruh, did you see what just happened with OBJ in Cleveland? Dudes do not want to come to Cleveland. In order to be in Cleveland, what you have to do in Cleveland is you have to build a momentum. You have to build a momentum. You have to sustain a momentum. People want to go to Green Bay, and Green Bay ain't better than Cleveland. But it's just the fact that they stay the course. They don't all of a sudden just be like, hey, we about to win the Super Bowl after just picking number 3 overall in the draft. They don't do that. They're realistic.
I mean, you switching the topic, and honestly, you sound like a real Cleveland hater. It ain't
that I'm a Cleveland hater, dog. It's just the fact that right now, so you see I'm switching the topic. So right now, let's look at the Cavs. The Cavs got a good team. They got a good team. They are young. They got a very good coach. They got all this. So when the Cavs end up finishing the regular season like 10 and 17, then everybody gonna be like, oh my God, Darius Garland ain't this, and Bevan Mobley ain't this, and this, that, and the third. Whether you just need to realize expectations, this team is probably going to finish the season.
So where you got them finishing? So saying all of that, where you got the Cavs finishing?
I told you about 8 or 9. About 8 or 9.
Okay.
I got them right there about 8 or 9. Like I said, I got Brooklyn better than them. I got Chicago better than them. I got Miami better than them. I got Milwaukee better than them. I got Philly, Boston, and Atlanta.
And I'm gonna go with 5th or 6th. I'm gonna go with 5th or 6th.
Yeah, but
I mean, we'll see. We will see. I mean, because we're a little bit more than a quarter past the season, and from a projection standpoint, based off the first quarter of the season, the Cavs projected to win like 47 games. Now,
they was projected to win 27
before the season started. But you notice that has changed once they actually start playing the games and people start seeing what they actually have, which is, again, the point that I'm making. And again, I don't know if they're going to necessarily win 47. I would go actually a little bit closer to 41, 42, to where I could see them finishing above 500, but slightly above 500.
Right. Speaking of the Browns in the NFL, dog, let's get into this AB stuff. Let's get into this Antonio Brown situation, dog.
What about it?
So my thing is this, bro. So the story or maybe the feeling outside that I sense is that the NFL is giving Aaron Rodgers special treatment over Antonio Brown.
No doubt.
And although I do agree with that, I think that they should for a number of reasons. So my first reason is, so right now this is something that's new. So precedent is being set. What I mean by precedent being set is 15 years from now, somebody may say, hey, wait a minute, remember what you did in 2021? So that's what precedent means. So, and I'm not explaining that to you. I know you understand that, but I'm saying that to base the floor of my argument. So because precedent has to be set, it's almost like, somebody did something, so we don't really have anything to go on, so let's throw out a punishment. Because the thing that the NFL has to do versus what the law of the land or the courts have to do is the NFL has to adjudicate right now. They have to make a decision right now because these decisions swing their revenue.
So what's their Deshaun Watson decision then? Because they've been pondering over this one for close to a calendar year now. What's their Deshaun Watson decision?
Hands off. We're going to let the law take care of that. But in Aaron Rodgers and Antonio Brown's case, The law is not involved. This is a decision.
Yes,
that
yeah,
they
it is.
have to
Yeah,
make.
it is. Because
Okay, dog. Let me just finish my point. So with Aaron Rodgers, okay, precedent has to be set. So we have to make a decision right now. Boom, we're gonna find him in this, that, and the third. Now, when Antonio Brown came along, not only did Antonio Brown do what Aaron Rodgers did, he took it a step further and he produced fake documents. So everybody in the United States, including me, including you, we got to go to work and we have to show our vaccination card. This dude usurped the process. He just said, hey, I'm going to do it like this. Not only that, but the person that turned him in was his housekeeper. So he already is a slimy looking person in the sight of everybody in society because other stuff that he did with people that come over his house for help, people that he's hired. He's had a sexual assault against one lady and stuff like that. So it's not like it's coming from the outside. It's in-house. Like, you're not keeping a good house. So remember, we're talking about a institution, a corporation. NFL is a corporation that has to make a decision right now. They don't have the same advantages of.
Did they have to make a decision with Deshaun Watson right now? Or that one can wait? That one can wait?
Yes, it can wait until the court decides it. And then not only that, but it wasn't in the middle of the season. It was, okay, down the line, by the time this happened, and dog, my whole point that I'm trying to make is I don't think it is a racist thing. I just think it's more of a timing thing and also a character thing. And my thing is this. I'm not a Facebook protester. I'm not somebody who gets mad and then the next thing you know, I'm sitting back on my couch watching football.
The line drop.
DJ. I don't know. Maybe he'll call.
So while he calls back in, let me kind of state my position on that. So you can run Antonio Brown through the mud as far as his history, his behavioral, his behavior in the past and things he's done. But you can't apply those things to Mike Edwards or John Franklin III, who also received 3-game suspensions for the exact same infraction. And when you look at what they did versus what Aaron Rodgers did, they turned in fictitious cards that showed they were vaccinated. He misled people to believe he was vaccinated through interviews. So, yeah, one is paper, one is verbal, but I think they're both bad because at the end of the day, neither one of them were following the protocols that you follow for unvaccinated people so that you don't expose other people. That's the whole point of proving or saying that you're vaccinated. So, given that, how can one person receive no violation, no suspension, no fines, and the other persons, be suspended for 3 games? Because those 3 games are game checks. So basically what you're saying is, I'm going to fine you guys $500,000, $750,000, and this guy gets nothing.
Because he's Aaron Rodgers.
And I get that. It's because he's Aaron Rodgers, but that doesn't make it right.
I know, but that's just how America works.
Well, and I'm bringing it out then. I'm calling it out because it's not right. Aaron Rodgers should have been at least suspended for a couple games. And to be honest with you, if these guys got 3 games, he should have got 3 games.
Actually, I thought he should have got more than 3 games. I thought he should have. Hold on. I for real think he should have got more than 3 games.
DJ. Hello?
In the NFL, can you hear me?
Yeah.
In the NFL, bro, they have to make a decision right now based on their money. They
BS.
got a lot of bills that they got.
I'm calling BS on that, dog.
Everybody
How come they didn't have to make a decision on Deshaun Watson? How come they can let that roll for a whole year? But this COVID thing, oh no, we got to decide on this right now.
What did he do, allegedly?
So, dog, so are you saying that it's racist? Because if you feel it's racist, why are you watching it? Like, if you think that this organization is doing things wrong, then why are you still supporting it?
That's actually.
Or do you think that they're making Or do you think they're making decisions based on their bottom line, just like every other corporation in this country makes?
Well, right. And that's probably closer to the truth, but that don't mean I'm not going to call it out. That don't mean we got to just glide over it like it ain't the truth.
But what I'm saying is, so do you think some Ku Klux Klan members sat up and said, "Oh yeah, that nigga Antonio Brown at it again"?
No,
well,
you're making it that. All I'm talking about is preferential treatment and entitlement. That's what I'm talking about. Those are the points that I'm trying to make. And it's just like, if you don't see that, I don't understand what you're looking at. If you don't see that what Aaron Rodgers did was equally as bad as to what Antonio Brown did, if not worse, because he never did get vaccinated.
Oh, no, if you
don't understand that.
I think what Antonio Brown did was worse than what Aaron Rodgers did.
For sure.
Don't get me wrong, they both were bad. But if I had to say which one was the worst, I would say what Antonio Brown did was worse.
Even considering that he did get vaccinated?
Yeah, he broke a federal law.
After he got caught.
Okay, you could talk about he broke. No, he didn't get this. He didn't get vaccinated after he got caught. He got vaccinated well before after he turned that in. He turned it in. He turned the card in, consulted with others, felt it wasn't the best idea, and went and got vaccinated. This was months ago. This was well before that came out. And really, what the issue is the NFL probably needs a better way of validating who's vaccinated and who isn't.
The U.S. in general.
Yeah, society does, right?
Thing.
Right. But I'm just saying, one guy lies about it and he gets no punishment. Another guy submits a false document and he gets suspended 3 games. That's not equality to me. That's not fair.
You really don't see the difference between him turning in a false card. You don't really see the issue there. You don't see
from
the
an
issue
NFL standpoint. I do not. I do not. Now, if the federal government came up and they was like, we are charging Antonio Brown with falsifying federal documents, okay, now that becomes his problem, and that's a whole nother situation. But the NFL, hold on, let me finish. Okay. The NFL is not the federal government. The NFL does not have the right to punish people as if they are the federal government. At the end of the day, the NFL have these rules. Let me finish. The NFL have these rules in place to protect other people. And in neither situation were they doing that. So Aaron Rodgers, Antonio Brown, if you're not vaccinated and you're not following the NFL protocol as far as wearing your mask, the social distancing protocols that you have to follow, then you're endangering other people. So whether you submitted a card or you lied in an interview, you were still doing the same thing. You were endangering the health of other people.
Okay,
that's the whole. It's like you got to read between the lines and understand what the point of these protocols is. These aren't protocols in place just to have a protocol. They're in place to protect people.
I don't agree with what you said. You said that the NFL were not protecting people. The NFL.
That's not what I said. That's not what I said. I did not. I said the protocols are in place to protect people, and if you don't follow the protocols, you're not protecting people. Neither one of those guys are following the protocols.
No. So the protocol that they have in place is players, in your honor, you have to be honest. You have to come up here and get vaccinated and give us a card. So Aaron Rodgers did not say, hey, I got vaccinated, here's my card. Aaron Rodgers said, hey, I'm immunized. And so that is wrong. I'm not saying it's not wrong. But what is even more wrong is to misrepresent yourself, because those days that people thought that he was vaccinated, however long, I still have not heard that he got vaccinated before. Like that, I thought that I don't know about his vaccination status, but I do think that from what I can deduce that there was a time that people thought he had a card in and he was around people and his card was false. So I don't know how long that time period is. If it was an hour, if it was a month, if it was until he got caught. I don't know what that is. But to me, what is me saying, hey, I got immunized and being cute, that was wrong. And when that happened, I came hard on Aaron Rodgers. And I said, you have been around people. You have been trying to be on Jeopardy, blah, 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 and you lied to everybody. So I do think that was very wrong. But to give a false card and say, hey, I did get the shot, and you actually didn't, I think that is more wrong. Therefore, because precedent is being set, and because the first guy, we had to come up with something that we never came up with before, so we settled with this punishment. And then the next guy did something worse, I don't have a problem with him getting a worse punishment.
How about punishment to begin with? What punishment did Aaron Rodgers get? What punishment did Aaron Rodgers get?
So let's say, for example, if all of a sudden Rob Gronkowski did the same thing that Antonio, we found out, Gronk was with him too. So Gronk is the dude that everybody likes. Gronk is the dude, I could have said Brady, but obviously Brady is, we understand the Brady situation, but I still believe that Brady would get the same punishment that Antonio Brown did. I think it's about precedent, and this is being something new versus it is a racial thing. When the NFL has to adjudicate right now, the NFL could say, hey, you know something, our ratings are going to be down, so we want all y'all to play in the game, so we ain't punishing nobody. They could do that, but if they did, then their fans, the people that their audience, their stakeholders, the people that is the reason why they make billions of dollars and they have $1 billion worth of bills. And if that revenue dips, now they're in the red. They're trying to avoid that. So because of that, they have to make a decision. I'm saying adjudicate. They have to come up with a decision right now. They don't have the same advantage of the law. The laws can say, wait a minute, we're going to take our time and figure out who is more wrong than the other. NFL don't have that luxury. They have to say, in the eyes of the public, what looks worse. I don't have a problem with them making that decision like that.
Well, I don't know. I think it's a little naive on your behalf to think that it's a simple decision like that, or that's even the thought process that they go through. And again, you can say which one is worse, and that's your opinion, and I respect that. But you can't say this one was so bad it deserved a 3-game suspension, and this one was we'll just pat you on the butt until you go ahead and don't do it again, because that's basically what happened to Aaron Rodgers. Because at the end of the day, when you suspend these guys for games, dog, you're taking money out of their pockets. There's a financial.
You're taking money out too.
Yeah. What'd you say?
Maybe not. When you found them, you're taking money out too.
Okay. Well, what that got to do with it?
No, your point was when you suspend dudes, you're taking money out their pocket. I'm saying, yeah, in both punishments, you're taking money out their pocket.
Right.
Has anybody been prosecuted yet?
I don't know.
For hitting a fake for the falsifying the document.
Yeah, because that's up to 5 years and $5,000 fine.
No, not in this case, because I'm sure if the feds was gonna do it, or if they not to say they can't do it in the future, but they haven't done it up to this point.
Right, so they probably like, hey, look, we know y'all wasn't malicious. Take y'all 3 games and sit down, because lawyer fees are expensive and sitting in prison is expensive.
Well, but the NFL and the federal government, they don't work together. It's not like, okay, well, the NFL is going to do this, so the federal government's not going to do that. If the federal government hasn't brought up charges, then either they haven't brought them up yet, or they don't have enough facts to bring them up.
I feel like I
not
feel like it's getting checked. It's basically like the situation's done and over with. After these suspensions, the situation's done and over with. And I feel like they were going to get checked in some aspect of it.
But the point I'm making is, first of all, Roger Goodell suspends and he disciplines people based off of what he feels like should happen. There's no real precedence that's ever set for fines, suspensions, and I can give you. I could spend a whole nother show just giving examples of where he did this, but then when this happened, he didn't do that. So it's just, there's a players union, but it doesn't matter. Just like the NFL, Roger Goodell, Congress said they wanted to hear the rest of those phone calls or those emails, read the rest of those emails, and Roger Goodell says no, because it's just like when you start making.
Why do you say Roger Goodell, especially in that case? especially in that matter. Why do you say Roger Goodell? Roger Goodell represents. That's like saying, okay, so there's companies out here that has a CEO. So they're not the owner of the company. They are the front man, the CEO. They're the person that does the business. But it's not the CEO. It's the it's the NFL. It's the owners. It's Jimmy Haslam.
Who represents them? Who represents them? Who's an agent for them? Who works as an agent for them?
Right. That's exactly what he does.
That's my point. So when a
prostitute works for a pimp, right? So the prostitute is going to do a lot of stuff for her pimp, but the pimp is the person that is the customer. I mean, is the person that's selling her. And I hate to bring it from that standpoint, but I'm basically saying that Roger Goodell is the person.
You don't have to. You could just say Roger
Goodell
works as agent for the owners. He's an agent for the owners. He represents them.
Right.
So,
but the owners make the decisions, though. I guess that's my point.
Well,
the owners make the decisions.
Well, I'm sure that they, again, he works for them, so I'm sure they tell him how they feel about it. But at the end of the day, it was Roger Goodell that had to say, no, I'm not presenting these emails. And my point in bringing all of that up is the NFL makes enough money that they kind of do what they want to do. And Roger Goodell, he rules, and he basically does what he feels like doing and what feels right to him.
Does too, right?
Who does?
Amazon does too, right? That's why Jeff Bezos was just able to just fly off into space.
Okay, I mean, whatever, dog. Whatever. I'm just point. When I see inequalities, I'm gonna point them out. And I think the way that Antonio Brown and these other gentlemen got handled, what was it, Edwards? It was 3 of them that got suspended for 3 games. And I just find it incredible that you can suspend these guys for 3 games when Aaron Rodgers did not the exact same thing, but he had a very similar offense and he got nothing.
But
I just don't see how you do that.
Do you feel like Antonio Brown did something to you personally? Because I do feel like he did something to me personally.
Do you feel like Aaron Rodgers did something to you personally?
I do.
So
I do.
Then deal with the facts or the point that I'm trying to make, dog. Then why didn't he get suspended?
Are you upset with Antonio Brown?
No. Nope.
I am.
No, I'm not upset with
I am, because there is a virus that is going around that is killing people. And the NFL is trying to say, okay, we are going to continue to make money even though we have this thing that's killing people. So don't get me wrong, I'm not saying the NFL is guiltless. But what I'm saying is they put things in place to minimize it. And these 2 people, Aaron Rodgers and Antonio Brown, did something to go against that.
But one person got suspended and the other person didn't get nothing. That's the whole point I'm trying to make. That's the whole point in bringing this up. One person got suspended for 3 games and another person didn't get anything.
But if you think about it,
but aren't you still upset? Aren't you glad that Antonio Brown got something? No, aren't you glad?
No, I'm not. I'm not. If Aaron Rodgers he got 3 games, I'd have been like, yeah, Antonio Brown, you asked for these 3 games. But the fact that Antonio Brown got 3 games and Aaron Rodgers got nothing, it just makes me think of injustice, which is just such a prevalent, it's a reoccurring theme.
But don't you see that the whole thing is you should punish bad behavior. You should punish bad behavior.
How did Aaron Rodgers get punished then? I'm going to take the words you just said. How did Aaron Rodgers get punished?
He got fined.
What did he get fined?
$50,000, I think. I don't remember, but he got fined.
So not even a game check. And you sure he got fined $50,000?
I don't know what his fine was, but I know.
Or did the organization get fined?
Aaron Rodgers, the person, got fined.
So even $50,000, that's not a game check for him. That's not a game check for him. These guys are missing 3 game checks.
Here. Let me just do this. Let me just say this. Let's take Aaron Rodgers out of the equation.
You can't though.
Here, but I'm just saying this for this thing. Okay, so Antonio Brown did something wrong, and he got punished for it. So now the next person is going to say, "Whoa, I'm not about to do that." Ain't that the whole point?
So
Taking out Aaron Rodgers.
No.
Taking out Aaron Rodgers. taking out Aaron Rodgers, isn't the point of this person did something wrong and he got punished for it. So now the next person is going to say, shit, I ain't about to do that. You see what happened to him? That's the point of punishment.
No, it's
So,
not. So you looked that up, Sean. What did Aaron Rodgers get fined?
It's actually not saying he didn't get fined. It's actually saying the reason he got fined $14 grand. But the reason,
$14 grand, but regular people money.
I read an article, right? Regular who? Not regular
I'm not
me.
regular people.
No, I'm just saying $14 grand. I mean, when you make $1 million, 1.2 million a game, what's 14 grand to you?
So would you be satisfied if Antonio Brown got the same punishment, 14 grand, that Aaron Rodgers did?
Absolutely. We wouldn't be having this conversation. We would not be having this conversation.
Well, it's saying what the difference between the two
if you
was.
just set up and said that $14 million is regular season people money, then maybe that's not even enough to make Antonio Brown or the next person
14 grand. 14 grand. No,
14 grand.
What I'm talking about is equal
14
treatment.
grand.
My point is equality, equal treatment.
Well, and here's the problem. Like, I'm reading an article from
But this is not an equal crime.
and they're saying that the difference between the two was Goodell and the Packers knew he wasn't vaccinated the whole time. That's why he didn't get in as much trouble as Antonio Brown, and the punishments aren't equal as to where Antonio Brown lied to the NFL, he lied to the Buccaneers, and on top of lying to both of them, he produced a fake card.
That makes it even worse then if Roger Goodell and the Green Bay Packers knew that he wasn't vaccinated.
No, you didn't hear nothing. You stopped listening when he said that. He just compared two.
You didn't let me finish. You didn't even let me finish my statement. So how do you know what I was getting ready to say? How do you know what I was going to say?
Go ahead. Okay.
So I say that's even worse because the whole point of being vaccinated and following protocols is to protect other people. So if the NFL and the Green Bay Packers knew that Aaron Rodgers was not vaccinated, but they have still allowed him to conduct interviews without a face mask. They still allowed him to sit on the sidelines without a face mask. They still allowed him to greet other players after the game without a face mask. That's even worse.
That's even worse from the NFL standpoint.
Right. That's what I'm saying. They was all in cahoots then.
But not on Aaron Rodgers' standpoint. Aaron Rodgers
can only be so wrong. You know what I'm saying? He can only be so wrong. If they're in cahoots with him.
And the team did get fined. Right? Didn't the team get fined too?
I don't know anything about the team getting fined.
I think the team got fined also, but I don't know, dog. To me, again, I'm just
talking about equality. I'm just talking about equality and being fair, and I just don't think it's fair that these other guys get 3-game suspensions and he got nothing, when essentially they did it in different ways, but they did the same thing, which is expose other people to the virus because they weren't vaccinated. But
how
hey,
you know about how LeBron's vaccination whole thing is playing out?
It sounds like the NBA just needs to do a better job with their protocols. Because LeBron had a false positive come up, and he had to miss a couple games. But it's just like as he continued to get tested, he was never positive for it. So they just need to get better at their protocols. And
I just assume they're all lying. Honestly, the NFL, I assume all these players are lying. I assume they never follow protocol. It's just like if you were at work. Of course, when you get to your desk, you're gonna take your mask down, even though it's supposed to be on all day. I just assume all these players is lying. You got $1 million, but you sat in your hotel room all night with no female for the last 3 months. Whatever. I'm not hearing that.
Right. Well, hey, look here. We passed our time already. Good conversation, good dialogue. Some things I think we just have to agree to disagree on, and we'll do it again next week, next Saturday at 1 p.m.
For sure.
We talking sports.
Room.